Cześć, nazywam się Radek Orszewski i zapraszam Was na Kanban przy kawie. Podcast o tym, jak zwinnie, sprawnie i efektywnie zarządzać pracą. Cześć, witam Was wszystkich w kolejnym odcinku podcastu Kanban przy kawie. Dzisiaj drugi odcinek z serii odcinków poświęconych konkretnym narzędziom. Jeśli pamiętacie, przed kilkoma tygodniami mieliśmy odcinek o tym, jak robić Kanban dobrze w Jirze. To był odcinek, który był dedykowany do narzędzia instalowanego bezpośrednio w tym narzędziu, które służyło do znacznie lepszej wizualizacji pracy, budowaniu fajnych, bardzo mocno adaptowalnych do potrzeb tablic kanbanowych. Jeśli tego odcinka jeszcze nie słuchaliście, to do niego Was odsyłam, a dzisiaj opowiemy sobie o narzędziu również kojarzonym z Jirą, bo służącym do pobierania wizualizacji danych z Jiry, zarówno tej on-premise, jak i cloudowej, która no właśnie ma metryki jakie ma, a to narzędzie właśnie wprowadza nas w świat bardzo fajnych metryk przepływu. A więc zapraszam na odcinek poświęcony narzędziu Jira Flow Companion, w którym moim gościem będzie sam autor tego narzędzia. Zapraszam. Jak to zrobić w Jirze? To jest pytanie, które się pojawia bardzo często od osób, które z tym narzędziem muszą, rzadziej chcą pracować w organizacjach. Pojawia się pytanie zarówno o pewne praktyki, o wizualizację, ale również o metryki. Rzeczywiście Jira sama w sobie kilka metryk ma, kilka z nich nazywa się albo bardzo podobnie, albo identycznie jak metryki przepływu, o których uczymy w ramach metody Kanban, które tłumaczymy jako pomocne, ale niestety nie do końca jest to zawsze wystarczające, a w przypadku większości narzędzi, które służą do wyciągania danych bezpośrednio z tych systemów, zwłaszcza z systemów on-premise, czyli takiej Jiry instalowanej u Was na jakimś serwerze czy w takim środowisku, okazuje się, że jest z tym problem. Wszystkim tym osobom ja osobiście polecam po prostu rozwiązanie, które jest rozwiązaniem zewnętrznym i rozwiązaniem bezpłatnym. Chodzi o dodatek do przeglądarki Chrome, a więc nie jest to coś, co instalujemy w Jirze, nie jest to coś, za co płacimy, nie jest to coś, co jest powiązane z liczbą użytkowników, a nazywa się Jira Flow Companion i pozwala w bardzo prosty sposób wyciągać, wizualizować dane. Skąd wziął się ten koncept, dlaczego takie, a nie inne metryki? O tym za moment opowie sam twórca pluginu. Zapraszam do wywiadu. Today we have a special guest, so it's going to be a podcast episode with accompanied video files, but also an interview in English with a guest from Sweden. So Magnus, I would like you to ask you to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Yes, my name is Magnus Iverbrands, as you said. I'm a 45-year-old. I identified myself as an agile coach professionally. I've been working in those kinds of roles since 2012, so that is 10 years now. Currently, I work at a company called Sensact that is developing autonomous vehicle solutions as an RTE. So I'm working within an organization that runs safe. Yeah, that is basically what I do. And I've been working for the last 10 years, mainly within the automotive and industry and trying to help out in their transformation towards agile ways of working. So a lot of large scale, many teams, large organizations trying to figure, and also, of course, hardware and all those things, trying to figure out how to work agile.
Okay, sounds interesting. Thank you very much for the intro. Somehow I feel you're a heavy Jira user. Am I right?
Yeah, it turned out that way. In a way, I'm not really this guy that loves tools, but for some reason, they are ever present. And when you're trying to figure out how to get an overview about what is going on, you tend to learn the tools. And where the tools come short, you try to figure out ways around those things. So in some cases, that means that you need to learn what the tool can do. And in some cases, it means that you need to create your own patches to make the tool do what you want. And on that path, you come quite prolific in terms of using the tool and being able to navigate it.
Okay, yeah, thanks for this explanation. I ask this question because I have a feeling that you are unsung hero of many Jira users all around the world. Yeah, so we're gonna go into details in a moment, but yeah, probably listeners know by reading this episode teaser or description. But my guest today is the author of a very unique piece of software, not add-on or plugin as we usually say it for Jira, but a little bit different tool. A tool which is called Jira Flow Companion. And it's a tool which is basically a Google Chrome browser extension, but it does the magic for many, many people who suffer, something that you described probably, Magnus, limitations of the tools, right? So we live with the tools that we have in the organizations, especially in big organizations, we have problems with, administration of them, adding some extra add-ons or plugins, especially as they can be very expensive, and the process can be lengthy to get them on board. And here comes Magnus with Jira Flow Companion. So how did you come to idea of this tool, and especially the way you did it, right? So not a standard marketplace plugin.
Yeah, it all started out when I was actually working with another tool called TFS at the time. It's it's a Microsoft DevOps thing now.
It's predecessor of the now Azure DevOps.
Yes.
That's how it's called. Yeah.
And I was working with a team that was supposed to do Kanban at the time. And allegedly the tool had Kanban support, but it was extremely limited. And one of the developers in one of the teams I was working with was showing that he had done this thing with the Tamper Monkey to alter what was going on. And that kind of sparkled my fascination a bit. Okay, so I could actually alter how this tool looks and what it does with just writing my own JavaScript. So that was the start of it all. And then from there, I built this thing for me. And then I said, okay, maybe I should take a little bit more time to turn it into something that is usable for others. And all of this time, I didn't work with Jira. And everyone was saying, but the support for Kanban in Jira is so much better. It's so much better. And I was working with this TFS for a couple of years. And it comes quite good. And then I moved into an organization where they use Jira. And I was looking like, but this is crap, basically. Like I can't do all this stuff I already have this tool that I've written for TFS. So what I did was, and here I actually have got much better support in terms of APIs I can use. So I ported that tool into Jira and I put it up so that people could use that as well. And here we are about 7 years later. A lot of people use it. It is growing. Like it's not where and also I can tell you that as well, that part of the background of this was exactly as you describe it. We were in a large organization. Whenever someone wanted a plugin, it was like, no, we're too many users. It's too expensive. It's too hard. And so it was just too much politics to get things in. And also all these plugins don't really work together and they really mandate you to work in certain ways. So this was kind of nice to just be able to go in and do all these things with the existing APIs and twist the data and just use your regular board as the configuration for it all. So that's the whole idea, actually.
Okay, great story. And as I said, unsung hero, that's how I decided to call you, because I know that, the tool removes the pain or allows many people to do very basic things, which unfortunately are not present or are present in some twisted way in the tool, the way it works out of the box. Bardzo serdecznie dziękuję w ramach przerywnika wszystkim osobom, które zostały w ostatnim czasie patronkami naszego podcastu. To bardzo cieszy, że dajecie temu wyraz. Rozpoczęliśmy też kampanię, można powiedzieć, promującą te osoby, którym chce się tam kliknąć i dorzucić kilkanaście złotych do tego, żeby dać wyraz temu, że podcast dostarcza wartość. Co ponadto, gorący 4. kwartał tego roku, ale chyba każdego w życiu trenera, a więc dużo szkoleń, które oczywiście cieszą, bo część z nich to są też szkolenia bardziej zaawansowane i wracacie na nie, pokazujecie, że ten Kanban działa, że się przydaje w różnej skali organizacji. Natomiast zaczynamy już kalendarz szkoleń na rok 2023, zaczynamy od edycji styczniowych, są jeszcze terminy na jakieś szkolenia w grudniu. Zapraszam jak zwykle po aktualne informacje na leanagile.ninja. A za moment wracamy do odcinka. Magnus, you said you've been working with the team working Kanban way, and definitely when I introduce people to your tool, I say, well, this is the perfect tool for your flow metrics. Yeah, they don't need to be, of course, they are very handy for teams working in continuous way, in flow way, but yeah, even if they work in Scrum or in any other way, the tool is very useful because it shows very realistic, not abstract metrics. And my next question is like, yeah, what drove you to pick the metrics that the tool currently supports? And are these metrics that you use? Are these metrics that you recommend to the teams working in the past or now?
Yes, like the beginning of the tool was, of course, me meeting up with Mr. Anderson, the Kanban guy himself, and he was talking about these metrics. And I thought, oh, okay, you're doing Kanban, so I should investigate how to use these metrics. So that was the starting point of it all. And from there, things has evolved. So from me working with individual teams, trying to do this, and then moving on and coming into larger organizations that wanted to track how things are going. So then these Kanban metrics are really useful, all of them in different ways. So for me, it was always about, let's try to get data driven, right? Let's people say like, oh, we have a delivery problem. We're getting too slow. We are all these things. And then you try to figure out, so what does the data tell us? How can we show the data? And then you get a lot of questions. Oh, but this is not true. If you look at it this way, it's much better. And then like, okay, I need to create a view for that, basically. So that is how it has evolved in a way. The standard ones, of course, the CFD, very useful, right? You can twist it any way you want and you can select parts of it and so on. You have the flow metrics where you can both measure those things that get done, and you can also see how much you create over time and what is the difference between what you create and what you burn down and so on. And also, of course, understanding how fast do we close things in these lead time things is very useful. And along the way as well, I'm this guy that kind of whenever, because I worked in organizations that was so heavy on driving estimation. And estimation just makes me cringe. So whenever I hear these things about estimations,
You're not the only one.
No, I'm not the only one. So, and then I discovered these things about using Monte Carlo simulations. So I just had to try it. And and I noticed, oh, I have all the data here. I just need to add another view for that. So then I built the part with the Monte Carlo simulations to be able to start talking to organizations that given the current speed we have, if we continue working like this, it will take us this much time to actually deliver what we say we want to deliver. Or if we are saying that, okay, we're going to do this much in this point in time. And it's like, yeah, given the historic data, it will take us this long, not as long as you say, and so on. So that has been, and it's always been my tool, or one of my tools. I built other ones as well that is not so well known, but so it's always been out of my need to be able to figure out what is the situation and to be able to explain it and show it to others, and always taking the time to make it available, basically. So I think it's, if I can show something and no one else can do it, then it's not worth anything. But if I can do something and I can also show others how to do it, then it really scales. And that has been what has been going on.
Yeah, great narrative. You started with the companies who claim or that they want to be data driven. We know that this is a buzzword that we hear very often in many organizations. But when it comes to tracking work, it's hard to find the proofs which can lead to discussion or even argument, like you said. But let's start with something. And I'm super happy that this is not scripted podcast, but you went to the topic of estimations, right? Because what I particularly personally like in the Kanban approach and flow-based approach is like no wishful thinking, right? I mean, like you said, historically, we were capable of delivering as fast or as much, right? And if we haven't changed anything in our system, if we haven't changed the conditions, people, technologies, whatever, communication mostly, what are the chances that we can, forecast future based on our wishful thinking estimations, right? That this time it's going to flow without blockers, without any interruptions, right? That's what we see, unfortunately, in many organizations.
Yes.
Magnus, thank you very much for giving us the context. Maybe it's a lack of research from my side, but you said you are also the author of the other tool. So maybe share us the story. What else we can find created by you?
Yeah. When I created this one a long time ago, I worked together with another guy, and together we've also made tools that isn't so like we're trying to start up a company around it, but they are more about this. Like if you work in a large organization and you want to visualize large scopes of work and understand what is the status and all these things. So we created this, what we call Scope 360. That is based on the same technology, basically, but it helps out in organizations that run safe. Basically, if you have a large organization and you want to aggregate a lot of teams contributing to or having a little bit of a larger plan and be able to track and visualize what is going on and how things are working. So we have quite a powerful suite of things that we call this actually Scope 360 Flow within that tool. But then we have also like this where we do program reports, basically, that we visualize the scope in different ways.
Oh, great. Now listening to you, I imagine that many listeners who struggle with having the very basic data because they are in large organizations where administration of the tool is done centrally, they may be also interested in what the other suite that you just described do. So I'm pretty sure we'll add it to the description. Maybe people also follow this path and find it interesting. Magnus, coming to the moment, where do we go next? You selected some metrics. They are quite powerful because, even if the UI of the Chrome extension is super simple, if you feed it with team level tool data, you can have metrics for team. If you use the right filters, the right boards in Jira, you can show it for the higher level. This is what we're going to try to show to our listeners in the video. But naturally, the question is do you plan to extend the tool any further development? How does it go?
Right now, it isn't the most like that part where we work the most. We've kind of maintained this and we moved it to new technology and we plan to continue to support it. I don't know exactly what we plan to do in the future.
No estimations
No,
here.
no, no. Of course not. But one of the things that I personally have been missing a bit, I always try to make things as light as possible on Jira. I don't want this to be this thing that hogs a lot of resources from centrally. It's okay if a lot of things happens on your computer, but you shouldn't disturb too much others. But one thing that I have thought about a lot of times, but haven't really gotten to, is this thing. We do show like all the issues. If you want to drill down, you can see like what issues is it that makes up this. But right now, in order to not do an extra round trip and just fetch all the data about all the issues that you have in your flow metrics, we only show the IDs of them. But it would be kind of nice to be able to actually fetch some Jira data, more Jira data about individual items and be able to show that as well. And of course, also if it like we do have that in the rest of our toolbox. So being able to integrate so that you could actually configure some things so that you could say like, yeah, this particular component means this to us in our implementation. So that is something I've been toying with, but I don't really know how to do it or haven't really gotten around to do it in a standalone way. Yeah, but maybe sometime not too far in the future, maybe it will happen. And especially now when we're trying to tie the two tools even more together.
I see.
It will happen at some point, but I don't know when. Having a full-time job, having a family and all those things, it's kind of, yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. As I said, you're the unsung hero. I'm going to repeat myself. I think many people should, send you thanks over LinkedIn or whatever, because I know it helps a lot. You are right. I also, from time to time, facilitate some flow reviews or SDRs or any retrospectives using the tool in real time. And of course, the table with the details, the summary of the tickets which are behind a particular bar or a release or something like this. I'm pretty sure it would, be welcomed by the users, because it allows to pass the analysis, what was behind the outstanding lead time or something like this. But overall, I'm happy to hear that, it's not on a shelf put forever the way it is. So maybe you will find motivation and time, of course, to go further with it, because there's definitely a benefit and value for the users. Magnus, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the story. I was curious personally. That's why I said, I'm going to chase you and invite you, because I believe it deserves some context and narrative from you, not just showing the tool. Yeah, so thank you very much. Good luck with your professional work, with family life, with finding balance between all of them. We'll look forward to any changes in the tool. Yeah, but until then, thank you very much on behalf of all Jira users out there.
It's okay. And if there is anything that stops working and so on, just throw me a mail. And I really try, whenever I find that something, even if this is not so actively worked on, whenever I figure out that, it doesn't work for me, then I try to get the time to really get it up and running again. So if you discover that it stops working for some reason, that the Jira changes the UI or whatever, then I really try to get it up again as quick as possible. Sometimes I need to collaborate with you if you do it, but please reach out if it stops working for you.
Great. Yeah. So we can count at least on an active maintenance mode. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Magnus, once again. Yeah. All the best to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tyle rozmowy z Magnusem. Jeszcze po rozmowie podzielił się ze mną faktem, że jest ostatnio zdziwiony, bo ten produkt napisał kilka lat temu, utrzymuje go. Zwykle miał kilkaset aktywnych instalacji u użytkowników. Mówi, że w ostatnim czasie ta liczba urosła do 1000. Jest trochę zaskoczony popularnością. Ja czuję, że też się do tej popularności przykładam, bo już go od licznych miesięcy polecam. Sam używam. Mam nadzieję, że wy do tego grona dołączycie. No jest naprawdę świetne, że ktoś robi takie narzędzie niekomercyjne, tak jak słyszeliście, pomiędzy pełnoetatową pracą, rodziną, chociażby ten aktywny maintenance tego narzędzia to jest coś, co zajmuje sporo czasu, a więc wielkie dzięki dla Magnusa. Słuchajcie, a co dalej? No przede wszystkim do tego odcinka znowu dodamy kilka filmików na YouTubie, a więc znajdźcie proszę playlistę, która będzie temu odcinkowi towarzyszyła. Pokażę wam podstawowe metryki, które możemy przy pomocy tego narzędzia policzyć. Natomiast namawiam przede wszystkim do aktywnego, można powiedzieć, eksperymentowania z nim, bo to jest coś, co jest naprawdę fajne. Narzędzie to pozwala dla jasności policzyć lead time, który rzeczywiście możemy wyznaczyć pomiędzy dwoma dowolnymi w workflowie tranzycjami, a więc jeżeli macie długi workflow składający się gdzieś tam z upstreamu, downstreamu, to możemy sobie wyznaczyć, od którego do którego statusów ten lead time liczymy. Możemy sobie zbudować, tak jak Magnus opowiadał, wykres skumulowany przepływu, a więc CFD, który jest znacznie lepiej skalowalny niż właśnie ten typowy w Jirze. Możemy popatrzeć na nasze delivery rate, na nasz throughput, na nasze tempo dostarczania, a więc znów możemy tu ustalić jakiś zakres, przefiltrować zadania i pokazać sobie, ile ich dostarczamy. No i moduł, o którym opowiedział również Magnus, a więc moduł, który zastępuje czasami mozolny i bezwartościowy trud estymowania, ponieważ biorąc pod uwagę dotychczasowe tempo, możemy zbudować dwa proste modele Monte Carlo, które nam pokażą albo kiedy skończymy bieżący zakres, albo ile uda nam się zrobić w czasie, który mamy. Jeśli jesteście zainteresowani szerzej zrozumieniem, czym jest Monte Carlo, to przy okazji odeślę Was do odcinka 40, gdzie bardziej szczegółowo omawiam obydwa te modele oraz w ogóle to, jak Monte Carlo działa. Tyle, moi drodzy, na dzisiaj. Mam nadzieję, że odcinek w wersji audio jest interesujący, że pobierzecie sobie do Chroma tą zakładkę, jeśli jesteście oczywiście użytkowniczkami Jiry, i zachęcam do eksperymentowania oraz właśnie dzielenia się dobrym feedbackiem z twórcą Magnusem Sievebrantem. Tyle na dziś. Dzięki wielkie i do usłyszenia już za kilka tygodni. Mówił Radek Orszewski.